Are you willing to use fear as a weapon? To what lengths are you willing to achieve victory? Do you consider the Geneva Pact more of a suggestion than a law? Then, my folks, you might enjoy the Nightlords. Yeah, one of my personal favorites. The Nightlords are an extremely cool, extremely unique Legion. Really fun one. So we'll be digging in, of course, with a little bit of lore today. We'll be going through their kit, and then I've made a list, of course, with a special character named Karis Sloan. You know, almost like Karis Slane, but I didn't want to go quite that on the nose. Yeah, things are going pretty well over here. The Knights are coming along quite well. I've got one more on the way with the double Gatling Avenger cannons. Just good for knocking out Space Marines and things like that. I'm dug in for the Ohio winter. I've got a bunch of Salamanders to paint, a bunch of Alpha Legion to paint. So I've got a good amount of work here. So hopefully it'll keep me going until like January, February. We'll see. I've got my beverage, my night coffee. Grab yourself a beverage, grab yourself a paintbrush, hobby knife, hop on your own hobby train, and we'll look over the Nightlords. Oh, the Nightlords, the Terror Squad, the Terror troops of the Horus Heresy. Led by Conrad Kurz, they specifically use fear tactics and terror assault. They will take a planet in order to get the planet's compliant. They, instead of waging war on every single city and doing a massive battle or going for a spear tip strike, they'll pick one city. They will go through and they will flay and disembowel the entire population, all of it. They'll hang them on posts, they'll crucify them, they'll display such terrible, terrible displays of violence that the rest of the cities will just, the whole planet just folds. They see what happened to one city and they're like, all right, no. So weirdly enough, Nightlords are, really well known for murder, but they would actually have some of the least casualties during their battles because it would take them less time to get a compliant planet. The Nightlords are kind of like, they're almost a little bit like a nega version of the Blood Angels. Big on jump packs, and Conrad Kurz also has precognition, much like Sanguinius. And Sanguinius and Conrad Kurz both witnessed their own death through their premonitions. Sanguinius used it to become the ultimate hero and to grow and support everyone and be as good as he could. Conrad Kurz went the complete opposite direction. He became taciturn, paranoid. He blamed his own legion for his failures or their failures. He saw every dark, bad part of himself, and he was very self-aware. Like, he knows he's a terrible person. Like, great villain. I really like Conrad Kurz. He's definitely not a guy you want to have dinner with, but he's a really complex and interesting character. He actually started waging war against his own legion, and they had to pretty much cut themselves. By the time the Siege of Terra happened, they had cut themselves off completely from him. And they, it was almost like a bunch of hyenas trying to take control of the Nightlords after him. There, of course, is Sevatar. Sevatar is the first captain. Definitely first captain syndrome, where your first captain is almost cooler than your Primarch. Happens quite a bit. That first captain syndrome. But Sevatar is awesome. He's one of the greatest swordsmen and warriors. He's up there with Sigismund and Raldoran. Abaddon is just one of the best fighters, cut print. He has one of my favorite lines of all time, actually, in the entire Horus Heresy, and I don't know the exact book. I've only come across them once in the books, and we'll go into that in a little bit. But Conrad Kurz is taking a look at the desolation that they've left, and on a planet, and he's just like, I have to tell you, Sevatar, there was no other way. This being mutilation, flaying, just the complete horrificness, their war crimes. He said, this was the only way. And Sevatar turned to him and said, what else did you try? Just one of the best lines in the whole Horus Heresy. Yeah, speaking of books and whatnot, there's Unremembered Empire is a really good one for Conrad Kurz. Conrad Kurz is being hunted, is on the Lion's ship, is on his battle barge, and is in kind of the depths, the lower decks, and is just, being hunted meticulously by the Lion, and he can't find him on his own ship. So eventually they get to Ultramar. The Lion's being kind of shady with the Ultramarines. He's not really letting them know what's going on. And then Conrad Kurz ends up breaking out. He sets the whole Dark Angels onto a full drop pod assault onto Ultramar. So all the Ultramarines think they're being, suddenly it's like, oh my God, did the Dark Angels go traitor? Like, what's going on? Conrad Kurz gets to the ground in Ultramar, and then 3 different Primarchs are going after him and can't pin him down. It's saying, like, what is it? Robugeemon, the Lion, and I want to say Sanguinius is in there as well. Or no, he shows up later, but pretty much because Conrad Kurz has all this time to prepare, and it's just, like using his Batman tactics and his gadgets and his traps, he manages to give like these Primarchs a huge run for their money. He kills like hundreds of people. Just really, he like almost takes down all of Ultramar by himself. Really, really cool bit of just seeing, seeing how he works as a Primarch, striking from the shadows, setting up myriad traps and explosives. And yeah, the Nightlords are like super evil Batman. They're kind of like Owlman, you know what I mean? Or like the Flashpoint Batman, where it's like he uses fear as a weapon, but also kills the hell out of people, in the opposite of Batman. But, very similar. Bats come up a lot. Lots of bat wings and flayed skin. Those are kind of the 2 main flavors of your Nightlords. And honestly, like, Nightlords have some of the most unique models. They really do. They've got like lightning, that's being painted on, of course, but the flayed skin everywhere. Their Dreadnought literally has a full like torso, skinned hanging from it. Like, it's really cool. I'd say the Space Wolves and maybe, take this with a grain of salt, this is just opinion, but I think the Space Wolves and the Nightlords have some of the most unique units in the game, and very striking. Good silhouettes, just really nice looking models across the board. So let's jump into that was the fluff. Let's get into the crunch of the Nightlords, and I'll go through my list that I made with Karis Sloan. So the first and foremost, they have Trophies of Judgment, which can go on to champions and command units. The 10 points to add fear 1 to the unit. Take it every time. That is so good. Like, put it in your retinues, put it in your commanders. Fear, the status effect game is so big in this edition, and fear just a -1. It'll just stack on the other, if you've got like pinning 2 and fear, that's effectively pinning 3. So really, really effective. They have the Nostroman chain weapons. The chain glaive is effectively it's like a power axe. It's +1 strength, AP3 with breaching 6-up and shred 6-up, and it strikes at initiative. So it's kind of like, it's more like a juiced up power sword, but the breaching and the shred is awesome. That means that on 6s to wound, you're getting AP2 2 damage. So there's a lot of units that can just get volume of attacks, and you just kind of try and push through all this extra damage and things like that. It can really punch above its weight. Next is the Headman's Axe, which is kind of like, it's like a Thunderhammer with 1 less strength, -2 initiative, +2 to your strength, AP2 2 damage, but with critical hits 6-up. So you lose a little strength on your hammer for that possible 3 damage strike, which is really good. The last they've got, their prime slot is only for Terminators, and well, specifically not Saturnine. For some reason, they don't have specialty Saturnines and stuff like that. It was never really in their lore, so it kind of makes sense. But pretty much if you take a Cataphractii or Tartaros Centurion, Command Squad, or regular Terminator squads, you can use this. So this is just a prime slot only for your Terminators. And it grants them Deep Strike, which is pretty cool, and Impact Initiative, which is fantastic. Deep striking Terminators can be a good idea. They can drop in and get a lot of fire. They're not gonna be able to charge, and you really want your Terminators in close combat. But They should be able to absorb enough damage that they can either charge next turn or they can absorb a charge, because it's Terminators. But I think the real spice on that is the impact initiative. You know me, any charge bonuses you can get in this edition, they're so rare, and impact initiative is phenomenal. It's not only going to have, of course, you're going to strike one initiative better, but Nightlords really like attacking people with status effects. So the status effect will drop them down to initiative 1 no matter what. Well, if you've got impact initiative, even your power fists are going to strike before they do, because you're going to be striking at initiative 2. So there's just tons of just tiny little places where that impact initiative is really going to help out. The Army Tactica is you improve the weapon skill of your unit when they're attacking someone with a status effect. So the status effect game is very big. You want to have, it's like you're going to have really good melee, and then your shooting will be effective, but for the status effects. That's kind of the thing you're going for. When I was building my list, I put 2 heavy flamers in every single Terminator squad, so they can get that panic, then charge. Really, really cool, and just, it's so fluffy. It's just like they won't attack you until you're tied up and pinned on the ground, Their gambit is once more just so Nightlords, so, like ferociously cowardly. When you go into the challenge, you can switch your character with any other character from the unit. It does not have to be someone that could take a challenge, like a champion. So you literally could have like your souped up Paragon of Battle Centurion going up there to challenge, and then he's like, no, this tactical Marine's gonna take my place, and I'm just gonna rip through the unit myself. Super Nightlords. You know what I mean? Like avoiding the direct assaults, they can kind of sneak in from the back. The advanced reaction allows them to fall back from a charge without taking panic, or without being routed. So, someone's about to charge you, you just move it on back and get out of the way. And it's not once per battle, so that one you can punch multiple times a turn, even, or multiple times a fight. There are 2 detachments for the Nightlords, and one of them takes you in a completely different army build direction than the other one. So I of course took that one. But first of all, they've got the Terror Assault. It's a auxiliary detachment. It has 2 troop slots which have to use Terror squads, one of which is Prime, and then you get 2 fast attack slots. Fast attack is really good because our Night Raptors fall into fast attack. So this is a cool way to take some of your specialty toys. Next up, this one is crazy. The Atramentor Hunt. It's an Apex detachment. Everything in it is Prime. It has 1 retinue and 2 shock assaults, all Prime, and the only Prime slot you can take is the Atramentor Prime advantage. So this is, well, the only thing you can put in here, I forgot to say, are Terminators. You can only take a Terminator command squad. You can only take Terminator squads for the shock assaults. So it is, I'm a big fan of Terminators, and they had the Contenker and the Atramentor, which were their 2. The Atramentor were usually like their Cataphracti style. The Contenker were in Tartaros, but they had a very, very powerful Terminator assault kind of unit. So that's the way, when I built my list, that's what I went with today. Finally, going through the units, we'll talk about Conrad Kurz and Sevatar in Season 2 when we come back and go through, all the special characters. Contenkar Terminators are phenomenal. I love them. They are, they all have the chain glaives. They've got Volkite Cavitors, which fire more shots than a Culverin, which is crazy. They can take heavy flamers, and the main guy can take an Eschaton Power Claw for your sergeant. He's called a dissident, but it's sergeant. The Eschaton Power Claw is it's literally a Thunderhammer with Shred 6. So it's a Thunderhammer -2 initiative, +3 strength, 2 AP, 2 damage, with 6 ups to wound or 3 damage. So it's just lots of ways to just get that shred, push that little extra damage through with these guys. I like them. And their special rules, they have Fear 1 and Vanguard 3. So this would be a very good unit for me to steal for my Alpha Legion, since we're lacking Vanguard. Fear is fantastic. If my Alpha Legion, I could have these guys causing fear while the snipers are hitting them with their pinning and stuff like that. It's just a nice combo. Hard to find fear in this edition. So Nightlords, way to go. Contenkar Terminator Squad, wonderful. I love them. I would take them every time. The Terror Squads, they're really cool. They're just a little expensive. But they all have Vanguard 2. They all cause fear, and they have Hatred Infantry. So they, +1 to wound against any infantry, which is really good. They're only weapon skill 4, but they do have 2 attacks or 3 on the champ. So weapon skill 4 seems not that great, but you got to think about it. You're trying to always get into attack. You're always trying to fight people who are status affected. So they're going to, be striking last and have, all these issues. And then if you've got hatred infantry, they are going to have that +1 to wound. They also can take tons of weapons. They can take chain glaives, chain axes, flamers, and rotor cannons. Flamers and rotor cannons really good for getting those status effects off. So this unit, it like straight up exists as a status effect unit, in my opinion. Even with the hatred infantry, I don't think they're going to be able to win too many fights unless they've got the deck stacked for them. But they are really good at status affecting your enemy. Cool little unit there. Finally, the Night Raptors. They are classic. We all know Raptors from Chaos Space Marines and 40k. These are the original badasses. They all come with chain swords, which you can replace with chain glaives for +5 points. You better believe I did that. That shred and breach, whew, good combo. They've got jump hex, they've got impact initiative, they've got Vanguard 4, deep strike, and fear 1. Heck of a unit, heck of a unit. It might struggle going into super tough units, but the breaching shred combo is really going to help you punch up. These will just decimate infantry, and they will still go into elite infantry pretty well. So that's the kit. That's the Nightlords. Let's go into the list real quick for you. So, of course, we'll go through the Crusade detachment. I'll talk about my characters that I built and made and why. And then we'll go through each detachment after that and kind of discuss the overall strategy of the list and things like that. I do this a lot. I did not take a lot of long-range anti-tank outside of a couple Land Raiders, but this list I think is good at engulfing the field with super chunky, hard to move Terminators. So let's go into it. First off, I got a Praetor in Terminator armor. I gave him the Headsman's Axe and I gave him trophies. So he's causing fear, which is great. He's a Tartaros Praetor because I want to put him with my Contengar. Next up, I got my Centurion in Terminator armor. Here he is, Horus Sloan with his Headsman's Axe, Trophies of Judgment, and I gave him a Combi Grav. One shot of the Grav, why not? Just to see if you can get some of that pinning before you go in for a strike. Anywhere I could sneak in, like a little status effect weapon, I did here. So that's my Centurion, Horus Sloan. Next up, I took a Siege Breaker. I really wanted to unlock Phosphex for this list. Phosphex is like Panic 3, just, one of the strongest status effects you can throw. So I took the Siege Breaker to get that in there. I actually had to, and I gave my Prime Unit Paragon of Battle to the Centurion. So he's striking pretty hard. Weapon skill 6 with that Headman's Axe. Really nice little character. Crime Against Humanity, I had to take that Log Benny. I took a logistical benefit because I really wanted to get some elites in. I want the Contengar are not Shock Assault, they're elites. And I took the Apex detachment of the Atramentar Hunt. So I had to take a logistical benefit just to get all my toys, but that's okay. 10 Contengar Terminators, big pricey squad at 435. They all have their chain blades. I've got 2 heavy flamers in there and then a Eschaton Power Claw on the main guy. That unit should do some damage. And it's surprisingly fast. They have deep strike, but I'm not going to... no, they don't. They have impact initiative, though. So their Tartaros Terminators are a lot quicker than you imagine since everyone's used to the Cataphracti. They can rush, you know what I mean? They can pursue. So that's a good unit for harrying things early. And I took a 10-pack of tacticals, just one unit to sit on a backfield objective. I made a very Vanguard list. This is the only line unit I've got, but I had to toss one in there so I could get that Log Benny. Next up, I took a Armored Fist, and pretty simple, just a Land Raider carrier with twin las cannons all over the place, and a Spartan Assault. The Land Raider is going to be carrying a 10-pack of Cataphracti, and the Spartan is going to have a Cataphracti command squad. I took an tactical support detachment. Pretty easy. I just took Phosphex. I took 2 Rapier carriers with Phosphex, just trying to set them forward, bomb out, just panic as much stuff as you can early. I took the Terror Assault auxiliary detachment just so I could get some Night Raptors in there. So I've got an 8-pack of Night Raptors. Finally, I took the Atramentar Hunt, and this is 1,000 points in my list. I kind of went overboard, but I wanted big, beefy 10 blocks of Terminators, so I did a 10 block of Cataphracti, 4 of them with Power Fists, 3 of them with Lightning Claws, and then a couple Power Swords just to absorb damage early. Then I went. This is one of the most expensive units I've ever put together outside of like the Justarin. But I did a 10-man Cataphracti Terminator Command Squad. I gave a Combe Grav to the Chosen Champion, and I've got Chain Fists, I've got Power Fists, and then I've got 3 with Lightning Claws. There's literally no bad weapon in that. They're going to be in the Spartan. They're going to be coming out of the Spartan, immediately charging something. So I figure they're going to be kind of safe from the initial blast of enemy fire. You know, they'll be well protected on their way up. So I didn't give them like a little random guy. That unit is 570 points. It's going in a Spartan, which is 465 points, 435 points. And then it is being joined by the Centurion and Terminator armor. So all said and told, what is that, like 400, 570 plus 130? That's like easily 1,000 point unit right there. So, you know, caution. It does not have Vanguard, it doesn't have Line, but it's going to kill just about anything in the game. And that's the list. Yeah. So 3 blocks of 10 Terminators, the Phosphex, two Land Raiders to carry everything around, a 10-pack of Tacticals, and the Night Raptors does it, you know? Pretty simple, cut and dry. Is it good? I don't know, but it's a big, fun, fluffy list, and I'd like to try it out someday. I have almost built Nightlords 4 different times in my life. Every single time I'm about to do them, I switch at the last second to something else. I don't know why. I do that a lot. My head, you know, I beeline all the time, and in the hobby and things like that. I'll be working on an army and then just turn and start working on another one, and then come back to the one I was working on. Like I juggle a lot of projects going, but I've done test models for the Nightlords like 4 times. I've got a recipe that looks great. Honestly, I'm probably going to be doing them in 2026. We'll see how it goes, but that's the list. That's the lore. Thanks for joining. Thanks for staying this long as well. I always appreciate it. Throw out that like and subscribe if you get a chance. And you know, also just, you know, shameless plug, but I'm a published writer. So if you are looking for some hard-boiled fantasy, search Carter Reynolds on Amazon.com, or you can always message me through YouTube or through my Instagram, Carter Reynolds Writerman. And you can get a copy signed. So, you know, get on the ground floor, something big. Could be worth millions someday. Could be worth nothing. You know, it's a gamble. But it's a good story. I'll give you that. And that's my shameless plug. Besides that, happy holidays, everybody. Hope you had a good turkey day. This is Carter signing out. Thanks for joining me here on 5 Up Recovery and Thursdays with Horus. Take care.